Good morning, Southern California. Joe Wright here, and I'm always looking for the unique, the oddities of the world, the curiosities so that you don't have to. And today I'm in San Diego at Balboa Park, and I'm going to put my sunglasses on just to reduce the glare, just to give you a little history of this park here and what's going to happen. I love hiking, and most of my hikes and backpacking are out in the Mojave Desert, San Gabriel Mountains, Sierra Nevadas, but I love occasionally doing urban hiking because I teach geography. And one of my three most favorite was a 6-mile hike in Beverly Hills, downtown Los Angeles, and of course Hollywood with all the craziness there. Today I'm in Balboa Park, and I and Lori just absolutely love this park. We come here often. We have annual passes here to all the museums. So just to give you a little history, and I'm going to do an urban hike here to the different museums, and maybe San Diego Zoo at the very end of it, is that the park was created in 1868, which I just find amazing because it was just 3 years after the American Civil War, which just was a devastating war. And I'm just amazed that they had the foresight and the energy to be able to put together a park here. It was donated, 1,400 acres were donated to the city of San Diego, and it was kind of the back country area, and it was hilly and it was flat. And at the time, it was kind of generally considered worthless land. There was no trees on this. It was basically coastal sage. And it sat here unused for basically 20 years. Then in the late 1800s, the city of San Diego did something very unique. They decided to tax themselves, the citizens, to landscape this park, and which was basically going to benefit the future residents because it wasn't going to immediately benefit the existing residents. So they planted thousands and thousands and thousands of trees, and they brought in the irrigation, which was probably even more of a challenge than planting the trees to water all these trees. So the next big step for Balboa Park was in 1915-16. The city of San Diego wanted to announce to the world that they were a world-class city. They had this incredible harbor and climate here, and they had a World's Fair. It was called the California-Panama Exposition, and basically had countries and businesses come from all over the world, sit up shop here for 1 year to display themselves to the public, and it was a success. A lot of the buildings that were constructed were torn down because they were just made for temporary to last 1 year. They were made out of wood, chicken wire, and plaster, and many of them were torn down, but a number of them stayed. A number of them were more permanent. The next big step for Balboa Park, which is what I love today, is 1935, where basically they had people and businesses, cultures, countries come from all over the world, and it was a much bigger World's Fair. It's called the California Pacific Exposition. And the buildings, after it was over, the public just fell in love with the Spanish colonial and Baroque design that they had of these buildings, that instead of tearing them down, the ones that they absolutely loved, they did cast molds of all the beautiful detailed work, and they rebuilt the buildings for permanent status, and that's what we have here today. What's housed in these buildings today is 17 museums. And again, Lori and I have annual passes, so we can go into these museums as many times as we want. And I never get exhausted coming down here. So I want to share with you, and maybe even San Diego Zoo, which is right next to the museums here, which is also part of Balboa Park. I want to share an urban hike with you that I previously did that I absolutely love doing. I'll put the mileage and a map on here to the different museums. Anyway, folks, I love you. Happy trails and live life large. Love you guys. Joe. So folks, I just finished up the hike. It was roughly about 5 miles. Started at 12. I'm looking about 5 hours of walking. I'm tired. So I wouldn't underestimate how much energy it takes to do this. So here's some advice I can give you. When you come to do this hike, what you want to do is focus on one corner of the museum and just study that, and then move on to the next museum and focus on one portion of that. That way, each time you come back there, you look at a new section of the museum, and that you can come back and do this hike many times. And it's so enjoyable. And be sure to have lunch at one of the many restaurants that are here. They're very reasonably priced, and they anywhere from low cost to fine dining. The other advice I would give you is that start at 10 o'clock in the morning. That's when the museum's open. And I started roughly at 12, and so it was very pressed. Anyway, love you guys. Happy trails. Joe.